Okay, I'm back. New live stream. Sorry, guys. Had a big power surge. Gosh, I hope that doesn't happen again. All right. Lucy Lou. Thank you guys for coming in. 1 second. Man, that sucks. Hello again. That was lame. Oh, wow. Apologies, power outage. Oh, that sucks. Alright, yep, we're back. Thank you guys. Oh, jeez. Alright, we'll just get right into the good stuff here, but man, that sucks. Alright, let's see. Let me get this fixed. Let me see. Do I get my chat up? Okay, so I got the chat. Let's see, what time is it? 6 p.m. I did see some electricians wandering around the apartment complex about an hour ago. I don't know if that's related or not. Hopefully it's not. Alright, we'll let people get in here for a second. Let me get to the part where we left off. 1 year con. Alright, my apologies, guys. Let's see. Oh, I don't even see. How come I don't have viewer count? There it is. Okay. Okay, now I can see that. Alright, so we got about a quarter of the people we had. Apologies, guys. That sucks. Power outage, power surge. What can you do? Alright. Anyway, back to it, guys. I was so confused. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, okay. Let's get into it. Alright, so that sucks because I know this will be a new stream and I'm just starting right into it. But anyway, I don't want to waste people's time. So, again, if you guys can, please hit that like button so we get this stream going. I know you probably already hit the like button on the last one. If you can, so we get this up there. Because I promise you, I've got some good stuff. I just want to play this part, allow some people to come in, and then we're going to get into the pants.
As a potential mind-blowing lead. But I'm going to expose that they knew it was a nothing burger.
So I'm just going to play this part about the 1 year con
From the very start.
It's hard because I go back and forth. I don't think that he's caught on that camera at all, but I do. In the last week, I do believe that they have something of him. Listen, I'll be honest with you. We have something from after midnight of a person we can't identify. I don't know if it's him. I'm not starting to remember, but so I think they.
But you do know that it's not him. I know we addressed this on Sunday, and again, I'm just going to go over this a little bit because we'll come full circle on this. But again, this 1 year con is just
might be in the same situation where there might be other cameras that we don't know about.
Can I ask, is this the so-called flashlights video, or is this something else?
This is something else.
Okay, so is it just an unidentified person walking past or through the property?
It's a person but because they're wearing very dark clothing and because the light, it looks like.
And again, this is referring to the footage off
This is the footage.
Of course, I've got a lot of this footage, and I understand how it's all created. And again, this is very important to keep in mind because this will lead into the pants and everything.
Which Fish Sticks is talking about. It is what they waited months before releasing it on the 1 year anniversary, so the stink feet could play the card of, we are searching and we hired help and look at what we found. But we all know it was a nothing burger, causing law enforcement to comment by immediately saying no, it is not him. The reason I get so upset at what Fish Sticks did is because I have some of the same folders and files he does, and what the public may not know is that each time there is movement, it saves the clip in a folder, and then when you have another event triggered by motion, it does the same thing, and every...
So again, I know I explained this a little bit on Sunday. This is very important because it'll lead into the next thing. But again, you have most of these cameras now, they record, they have a 24/7 recording, and then they have a separate one where there's, what they call events, it's something that's triggered it, could be a cat, could be a vehicle, could be someone walking, right? And they're all just basically in order, right? Because each time there's something created, you got one, and then you got the one below, and it's all in order.
Everything is placed in order of events, as seen in this example. So with that clip that they tried to pass off as Sebastian Rogers, the folder just above or before that one had this event on it.
And this event, again, so keep in mind, this is about 400 feet from the camera. And this literally, this camera, just one camera out of 15 plus cameras in this neighborhood, easily 15 plus cameras, where this is, at a very important intersection, because remember, they always want to try to get him over in this stupid construction zone. They're so obsessed with that thing, yet they have no proof yet. There's so many of these cameras that, he would have to get past just to get to it. And then he has the most important camera that literally is picking up the neighbor on the other street, nearly 400 feet away, just by turning on a light and coming out his front yard. Just a little after midnight.
Yes, this is literally the neighbor seen just after midnight walking out of his house and beginning to walk his dog, first down Devon, which created this event and folder. Then the next event, within a minute or two later, shows this event.
So he would have known, just by going back one folder, that it was this guy coming out of his house, because you can see his lights are on. Notice that as well. His lights are on. Right? So the guy is now walking down Killen, because first he was walking down Devon, right? So keep in mind, how do you not, put that together in, 2 seconds? You have the clip before, which shows this guy turn on his light. The light stays on. He walks off Devon, so then obviously, the clip is going to end because now there's no motion. But then obviously as he's now coming back down Devon and coming down Kellen, literally the next, folder clip, which is, within a minute later from this one, it's not, again, it's 1 + 1, right? 1 + 1. You have the light on from the home that was just triggered in the clip before, and now you have somebody walking.
Fish Sticks and the Stink Feed knew this months before the anniversary and still tried to pass this off as a
And then guess what? He walks back to the house, and then if you look at another folder, when he goes back to the home, there's another incident. He would have known. They knew this a long time ago. I know I bring this up, but it's just, again, and they knew it, right? They're the ones that hired him. It is on the level of just disturbing, again, and the shirt that he's wearing, it just so suits them.
Potential big break in the case. Again, this was so dirty and disturbing that only con artists, or worse, would try to pull such a disgusting attempt to fool the public.
Yeah, I may need to get a new mic. Some people are saying it sounds kind of fuzzy. I may have to get a new one. But, yeah, let me know in the chat how it sounds. Because if it does, I may need to get a new one. Or I need to rewire it and see if that would fix it. Maybe there might be just a bent cord here. But, again, then it leads to this, big headline, which obviously I'm sure we all remember. PI says new video could be big break in the case, right? And get everybody's hopes up that are probably not they probably knew about the case, but they're not as in touch as, a lot of us, they've been following it, daily. And to pull that kind of just disgusting con, it's just disturbing. And they knew it. They knew it, right? They knew it the whole time. They had nothing, but they still did it, right? Why? All right, so now we're going to get into today's big part of the story. Yeah, I have to be kind of careful about the data because, and again, I really can't even say much because it's more of a, again, there is another interview, I think, where Fish Sticks is on, one of those channels, and he does, talk a little bit more about the data, but again, the heart rate and stuff, again, I can't really get into specifics at this time. But I'm pretty sure you guys have gotten the gist. And if you guys have followed me, you guys know I would not bring that up. And I mean, literally, Fish Sticks literally says that. I mean, there's a reason why it's almost like Crispy as well, where there's always kind of like truth hidden in the lies, All right, so listen to this because this is where we get into the big stuff about what we're going to talk about. And again, thank you guys so much. I apologize. I had a blackout, so if you just come back in from the original live, I had a power surge, so I apologize. I had to restart a new live show. But I promise you guys, for those that have been in here, it'll be worth it. For the snarky Chris. I'm trying to be more the humble Chris, but it'll probably eventually come out. All right. So this is very important because this is going to come all full circle of what the main part of today's show is.
Yeah, and I sat down with them for like 2 hours. What they said was...
Okay, so he's talking about the neighbor across the street. Literally probably the most important camera. Even comes out of his mouth. There's very, very interesting stuff that he says. And then, of course, there's parts where he then goes to the dupers, the light... TBI, their footage was set to overwrite after 10 days, and nobody had come and collected their footage. They're right. So, I also spoke to a source telling me that, again, now maybe there could be some misunderstanding, but from what I'm told recently, that no, they did actually hand their stuff over. Now, maybe it could be, again, so I'm trying to be fair on both sides, that maybe they turned in maybe the 24/7, but didn't turn in the triggered events, right? Or the other way around where they turned in the trigger events, but they didn't turn in the 24/7. Could be that. But I from what I heard, what he's saying is partly not true, which no surprise there.
Across the street. They're right across the street. By far and away, the most important camera there is.
Yeah. The small things that I agree, 100%.
By far. And they had come and seen a couple things, but they had not taken the footage. And so they went to the command center, the husband did, and he said, listen, take this footage, it's going to overwrite tonight, Yeah. So they finally did take it, but they also they don't have the raw footage back. So they gave me what they have, and it's a lot, and it is.
So he's basically saying, so remember, I don't know if I mentioned this new live, I know I mentioned the old live, that, there's two different recordings. There's the 24/7 recording, and then there's the events, right? That get all saved into these folders, chronologically.
It has all the, because there's, even though it's continuous rolling, it does also pick up, have detections like with the tracking and stuff like that. So anytime a car comes in up and down that road, it picks it up. Anytime their lights at the Providence turn on, if they come, anybody comes in and out of the driveway at their place, whatever it may be, those are detected. And so I have that, and there's also a house behind.
Right.
So just to clarify,
they have all the masters.
Gotcha. Okay. And can you see the front of the Proudfoot's property, like the front?
Okay, now listen how he answers this, because this is going to change, and this is very important, because I promise you this will all come full circle here in a minute.
Door?
Absolutely.
Okay. So from...
Oops, and gosh, that kind of cut out on the audio. Let me back that up real quick.
Clarify.
They have all the masters.
Gotcha. Okay. And can you see the front of the Proudfoot's property, like the front door? from that
Absolutely.
footage? Okay.
Absolutely, right? No qualms about that, right? Keep that in mind. And then this next thing he says.
So, from what you've seen, is there any point at which anybody appears to enter or exit the home from the footage you've seen?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, keep in mind, it's footage from over a couple days, so yeah, definitely.
Well, I guess the night in question then.
That night, no. Well, they arrived home, and so I will say the one, like I said, they went through and they checked all their footage and they took out.
So here comes the Duper's delight.
What they saw, and they captured what they saw, but what they didn't get, and what they admit that they must have just missed, is when they heard that there was footage of Sebastian taking the trash out, the trash can out. My own sanity, like, did you really see Sebastian on that footage or not? And they told him absolutely, and so I believe them. You know, I don't think they're and you know, keep in mind, Seth and everybody has said that they agree. So, but I have not seen that. Just to be clear, I've not seen him taking the trash can out. There was some I can see, you know, which is important to me, and I'm not going to get into the exact. There's going to be some things I can't say. I'm just going to tell you up front, but can't give out all the details for the integrity of the investigation. But there's times when you see, you know, the lights.
Okay, this is important because trust me, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense about another creator that talked about this, and she had the timelines, and now it all makes sense of how she knew exactly. Like, she had 908. We'll get into that in a minute, and I'm like, this lady clearly had a great source, and now I understand how she knew exactly the timestamps, and we'll explain that here in a minute. But listen to what he says here. Very, very, very important.
Go off or on or in.
Oops, let me back that up a little bit, even though I know I'll probably replay it here.
Can't give out all the details for the integrity of the investigation, but there's times when you see, you know, the lights go off or on or and whatnot. So that's all detectable. It's a very clear shot of the house.
Once again, here he goes, doubling down. It's a very clear shot of the house. He was asked earlier, can you see the door? Oh, absolutely. So remember, he just got done saying, you can see the house. This thing's getting triggered, and we'll get a little bit more into this because this all come full circle. Because then he'll backtrack, and you'll see how blatantly obvious he's backtracking, because now he's realizing, oh shit, I'm telling too much.
Off or on or and whatnot. So that's all detectable. It's a very clear shot of the house.
Okay. So what he is saying is that the lights, and remember, all they're going through and what he's going through is the events, right? So these are the triggered events, right? This isn't just like dead air, nothing going on. There's something that's, all these clips that they're looking at, there's something triggering them, right? Because they turned over the 24/7 footage, but they saved the events, right? It's very, 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 very important. Now, this is the camera that's looking at the backyard. This will all come full circle, is why I'm showing this. Let me play this and get caught up in chat. Cajun Juju, thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. God bless you. 1 second before so keep in mind, from this camera to that, and actually I probably put it a little too far. It says 182 feet. I'd probably put it about 160 feet. Very important. So just keep that in mind. Approximately 160 feet from the camera to the point to the back of the house and stuff. Right. Very, very important. And Little Miss Sharon, thank you so much for the super chat. God bless you guys. It does help me out so much. But I promise you, I got some good stuff. If you can, I know we're getting a little bit more people in here. I apologize that I had to restart my live. But I guess it's a good thing that I was going to have a power surge. It'd be at the beginning of the show. All right. Let's get to it. But if you can, please, if you can, hit that like button. I know you probably did it in the previous live, but since it's a new live, if you could, thank you so much. Okay, and I just realized I have this wrong. It's actually this home that's got the camera. I don't know why, because it feels like it is from this home, but it's actually from this home. So it's about 150 feet away from camera to doorstep. So keep that in mind. It's almost the same distance as the camera behind it as the camera in front of it. Very, very important to keep in mind of. Because there's stuff that he says in here.
So Sunday being the day.
Okay, so I want to play this, and then we'll get back to him. And I promise you, I've got some mind-shocking stuff to show, reveal to you guys. So here is the Miss Lovely Sweetie Pilo, who clearly had this lady, this neighbor, as a source early on. And because we're going to listen to the timestamps. I mean, she not only says what's going on, but she has timestamps, right? And then, we did like where we did kind of like a timeline using this stuff and other stuff. And she was spot on. She said the garbage truck came at 5:12 a.m. Literally spot on. Like, spot on. This is literally at 5:12 a.m. And now it all makes sense why Sweetie and, of course, the source knew this. And we'll explain it. So let's just kind of see some of the events that happened. So keep in mind, these events, this isn't like the family going through the 24/7. They're going through their events, right? So these are motion-triggered events.
Day before he disappears. He is observed taking the trash out pretty late at night. I can't remember if it was like 6 or 7, but it was somewhat late at night. I guess if you don't get your trash out early, you're gonna miss the opportunity. So the trash guy comes at like so early, and on that day he came at 5:12 a.m. What I understand, the only lights that were on were the garage lights. When Katie says that she put him to bed at 9 o'clock, the lights went out at exactly 9:08 p.m.
So remember, she has that specific timestamp. She doesn't say, 9 a.m. or 9:05, right? 9:08. That's because she's literally got the events, right? Because we just heard Fish Sticks talk about how they turned over the 24/7. They turned over both. But they kept the events, they saved it, I don't know, on a separate hard drive, whatever, cloud. And then they went and literally wrote down like the timestamps and what they could see. And then they spoke to this lady, Sweetie Pilo.
Anytime a car comes in up and down that road, it picks it up. Anytime their lights at the Providence turn on, if they come, anybody comes in and out of the driveway at their place, whatever it may be, those are detected. And so I have that, and there's also a house behind.
Then at about 11:45, her light goes out. Katie.
So Sebastian bedroom light goes out at 9:08. Remember, that is almost just perfectly on par. That's his bedroom. He's only got one bedroom window that's facing the front, which is obviously, unfortunately, we have this stupid garbage truck that Fish Sticks is so obsessed with. And I was going to get into this later, but it's no coincidence that he literally paused this right in front of the home, because I know he wants to block probably some solar lights that could be ambient light, because ambient light's going to be a huge point to this entire thing.
Road, it picks it up anytime their lights at the Providence turn on. If they come, anybody comes in and out of the driveway at their place, whatever it may be, those are.
So think about this. A lot of these first ones that they're talking about are the events that are being triggered. These are motion, and it's literally just the lights from across the street, right? From these, with half shuttered, windows that, could be halfway closed or partially closed, whatever. So just think about that. That just having the light flick on and off across the street is triggering the motion sensor.
Detected. And so I have that, and there's also a house behind.
Then at about 11:45, her light goes out. Katie's light. So the mother's.
There's times when you see, the lights go off or on,
So just for anybody that's not familiar, so again, we have the garage, right? So this is not really important. We have the floodlights, and then we have the kitchen. So this is a kitchen. The kitchen is kind of like parallel to the garage. So obviously the garage runs along the north, heading east. And so obviously their kitchen, this part here would run parallel partway east next to the garage. And then we have the dining room, which is probably the big window here. And then we have Sebastian's bedroom. So at 9:08, the light switches off. This is important. But this one, remember, she'll say something in a minute, but listen to this.
And whatnot. So that's all detectable. It's a very clear shot of the house.
About 9 o'clock, told him to go to bed.
So he goes to bed at 9 o'clock, and what do you know? 9:08, that bedroom light turns off.
And he's come out of his room where he was playing, and he said, "All right, good night, Mama. Good night, puppies. Love you." He went to do something in his room because about an hour later I heard some noise, and I was like,
so this is important right here. So an hour later, he's doing something in his room, right? Now, if you guys remember, he didn't have a cell phone because remember, he wasn't, allowed much access for the cell phone. And I am pretty sure he probably didn't have his Nintendo Switch because obviously it was a school night. So again, not like a regular teenager that has, probably more privileges, whatever you want to call them. So again, we never hear about his light turned on. Not to say kids could be, a teenager, hopping around in the middle of the night, but it is just kind of weird that, you think maybe the light turned on at 10, and okay, that makes sense with that story with the thud, right? And he's kind of still up, but again, what's he doing in the pitch? Unless he has a nightlight or something, what is he doing? Again, just food for thought.
"I don't care what you're doing in there, but go to sleep." And about midnight, I got up and I went to bed.
So it's like, what happened? This is crazy. But I want to tell you, what was observed was the living room light on, the garage light on. There was a door that was open.
Now, she has come out and corrected this. It wasn't a door, it was a shutter to the window. I'm assuming it was the front room or dining room window, which would have been this one here.
And I think it was open for a long period of time.
Because she did come out and correct that many, many, many months later. I don't know if she just wrote that down wrong or maybe the homeowners were confused in the beginning. But again, but here's the question. The only footage they have, right, is events. So whatever that was they're looking at, something's going on in this. Now looking at it all sides, it could be just a cat running across the street, because I know on other cameras there's a neighbor's cat that does set off the camera a couple times that night. But again, just think about that for her to be able to be seeing that means there's something that has triggered that event. that appears to be after midnight.
Could that have been the entrance for? So it's even extra secure in that regard. Does mom park in garage regularly? I asked. Yes, always. Mom always parks in the garage.
I have to be very careful, but I'll just say this. You basically answered your question. Okay, so now let's get into the real meat and potatoes of this and why this is really juicy and very, disturbing at the same time. So I ran the AI. Obviously, I only have one image. But I do, obviously, we know it's a Ring camera. I know that from multiple sources. And then, of course, with what Fishstick says about what it can do, tells me, I fed that in. And so this is what this Ring camera is, likely. And this is very, very important as we build up to the main thing that we're getting to. So the AI was basically to say, yeah, this is likely a Ring outdoor cam, 3rd generation. These they're also known as stick-up cams. They're literally at the time I think they came out in 2019, and they're literally one of the most popular brands at that time for 5+ years. It's very versatile, and you can see it here. It says here, this model is popular, versatile, and it says available in 2024, but it came out in, I believe, 2019-ish. But yes, this is definitely, at the very least, a 3rd generation camera. Very important. Why? Well, it's because it has this. This is infrared night vision, right? We've kind of talked about this a little bit. A lot of these cameras now have at least 2 settings. They'll have either infrared night vision, and that's usually when there's not much light, unless you have floodlights out, but this is for more of the low light scenario. So the camera switches to infrared. But now, of course, this is the most important part. But if there was something, say, like a giant garbage truck with big flashlights and lights and everything, well, it'll switch to what they call nighttime color mode. And these are all just set to auto. And we're going to hear Fishsticks talk about this. This is very important. This is huge. So as you can see, there's color in this particular screenshot that Fishsticks released to us. Very, very important for the argument that we're going to get into. So clearly this event that was triggered at 5:12, clearly it switched to the nighttime color mode because there was enough lighting due to the garbage truck and everything that it switched from its infrared to the color mode or nighttime mode. Now I'm going to take this photo and I'm going to show you the backyard. Now, what do you guys notice? What's the difference? This is infrared. What just sticks out to you? I'm just going to because you guys are smart. What sticks out to you in infrared? What do you think of the 2 main colors that infrared are focused on? One of the huge things in the background and even the sides, but in the background, what is the main color that we are getting is sticking out in this? Yes, lights. Yep. And or white. But yes. That is what the infrared is then tuned to. And so you have the white and the black. And anything that's white is going to definitely stick out. Now remember, this is going to come full circle. in multiple ways. Red and green. Come on, Heather. Red and green. We got 5 more months until we have Christmas. But good colors. Yeah, white. So then, again, I ran the AI with everything, and again, it's like, yeah, this is a at the very least a 3rd generation. And of course, we've already talked about this neighborhood. It's kind of a newer neighborhood. Obviously, it's a it's a nice neighborhood, and just about every other household has 1 or more cameras, right? So very important. That's funny. All right. So then should I jump to this first? Let me come back to this. Okay. Well, actually, no. All right. Thought I played. Oh, I will play it. So then I asked it, what would happen if it's in infrared mode and there's somebody walking with just basic Adidas pants, right? Basic Adidas pants, right? With the right stripe. These are made out of 99% recycled polyester. But these are kind of dependent, but a lot of them have what they call glass beads in them to help the reflection, right? Obviously, these are kind of like jogging pants. These were literally designed to be seen, and so keep that in mind, right? And so I asked it, would somebody wearing these kind of pants when it's in infrared mode, would they be captured on camera? And it said almost undoubtedly. And it doesn't even need light to be shining on it. It could just be ambient light. Now keep that ambient light. For anybody that doesn't know what ambient light is, you may have heard of ambient noise. So ambient noise is obviously you go out in the forest, you get away from the noise pollution, and your crickets, your rustling leaves, whatever, that's ambient noise. Ambient light could be the basically full moon that was out that night, right? That could be ambient light. It could be light sources that are 100 feet away that, it's not technically flashing on you, but there's a light source, like solar, those little solar lights and stuff like that. Landscape lights, I'm trying to say. Ambient light, very important. So let me show you. And of course, I'm going to do my own test, but I need to get... there's a reason why I didn't do it last night, because when I came across some of this, I'm like, oh, I want to do this right. I want to be able to try to get a night infrared camera of some sort so we could prove this in a proper setting. So that's the best example I can get right now. And again, this is just kind of a starting point. This is a guy on a tractor. Now, there's a guy over 40 meters away. For those that don't do meters like myself, 40 meters is just a little over 130 feet. If you do recall, remember how I told you both cameras, front and back, are basically 100 feet away, give or take, some feet. So keep that in mind. And let's just see what we see. And I know it's going to be really hard if you're on your cell phone, but I zoom in. This is a guy standing in the middle of a field wearing just a little bit, and this is just kind of the old school vest, the construction vest, which has this kind of material, these kind of glass beads, right? And look at that as we zoom in. And again, this guy's not moving. He's just standing there. that is over 40 meters away. Clear as day. Now here's the tractor. Now I know it's kind of got the lights shining. Now keep in mind, this thing is, now they're probably like, 20 feet away from each other. I wish they would have had a shot when they were 40 meters away, because I think the light would have not really been on them, obviously. But again, so it would now have been kind of more considered an ambient light. But again, I want to do a proper test, because I know this, isn't going to satisfy everybody. But it's a start. It's just giving an idea. Yes. And we will do a test, a proper test. Because I know some people say, oh, well, he's got a giant light flashing towards him. But actually, if you look at the tractor, again, when they're 40 plus meters away, it's not really, it's not like flashing at them, because obviously a lot of the lights are kind of wide, and more to the ground, because obviously you're trying to see what's, in front of you, but, below you, right in front of you, right? But again, just a small example. And again, this guy is actually missing a lot of part of his vest. Well, if I get a close up here, as you can see, most of his vest is actually kind of beat up. And then look even at his hat, which is probably even made up of even a different material. But again, just a small example. So now, this is the porch of where that DoorDash, the Ring camera is set up. So we can kind of see, obviously, the porch of this home that's across the street from the Stink Feet clearly is lit up. Now, obviously, it's not shining towards them. It is lit up for their yard, but that is still considered ambient light, right? Is Nightbot being bad? Just let me know if you're. I'll have to look at it. No, only I can turn it off, and I can't. Once I start a live, I can't do anything at the moment. Betty says, "Chris, you are focused. Stay that way. I feel you might solve the mystery. We need Sebastian home, hopefully alive, and I have faith in you." Thank you so much, Betty. I appreciate that. That means the world to me. God bless you. Robin Woods, thank you so much for becoming a member. iPhone link, please, for the membership. If somebody, mods, if you could help her in chat if you haven't already. I need to get a little clip so when everybody asks that, I can just play a tutorial. All right. Okay, so let's come full circle here. And then we're going to listen back to Fish Sticks about something he said, right? So again, keep in mind, over 400 feet away, you have a guy turn on his lights, and that thing gets triggered. It's a triggered event, right? Because all the stuff that I have from this camera is only motion censored, just like what Fish Sticks had. So think about that. Just 400 feet away,
So what I'm hearing, though, is that...
So now listen to what he says. This is so important, because remember how much he talked about, oh yeah, you can see the front door, and I forget the other second comment that, it's like, oh yeah, you can see the lights kicking on and off, right? These are all triggered events.
At the very least, the TBI should have an angle on the entrances and exits of the home for the full
100%.
Night.
They do, and they have the back of the house too.
Got it. So that's incredibly interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like any question about somebody entering or exiting the home,
it
should be
the TBI knows.
answered by that.
So here they go. They're like, well, gosh, yeah, you got a camera. Basically, we've talked about this a million times. You got a camera that's basically covering the front, the left exit, the right exit. And then if that's not enough, you got another camera behind the house, literally facing, I mean, you almost have a 360, view of the home covered by cameras. And that's just the first two, right?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. No, they have all that for sure. Now, I will say too that just because they have the footage that would show the front door does not mean.
Now look at his demeanor. Now, look, he'll get revenge. Yeah. Now look at his demeanor. Look at his the duper's delight. And again, I'll have to do like just a regular video for the regular, just not a live show, and literally just point out every single time because it is consistent. Every time he starts to fib, and I know the inside sources is bullshit. Now watch him backtrack. Watch his demeanor.
Or exiting the home.
Yeah, it
should be
the TBI knows.
answered by that. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. No, they have all that for sure. Now, I will say too that just because they have the foot.
Here it comes. Here comes the duper's delight. Ready? Play close attention.
Footage that would show the front door does not mean that with the lights off in the house that you would see the front door open. It is incredibly dark in the neighborhood.
This is not a night vision.
So he just got done telling us, obviously this is all cut up, but obviously, if you were just playing it without it being cut up, he just got done telling him, like, yeah, you can see the front door amazingly, and then I forget the other thing he mentions, but he basically, just a second ago, he was just saying, like, how well you can see their home and what's going on. Now, right after they're, Aiden, the host, is basically saying, oh, you just got, just telling me about how amazing this camera is, which it is. Now, and they're like, well, gosh, you should be able to see someone coming out, right? And now he's realizing, like, oh shit, I'm boxing myself into a corner here.
Camera.
No,
Got it.
no, that with the lights off in the house. That you would see the front door open. It is incredibly dark in the neighborhood.
This is not a night vision camera.
No.
Right there. Right there. You disgust me. You disgust me so bad. Where's Steve Carell when I need him? I'm sure he's coming up here in a minute. The nerve, the long con that they did with the anniversary, saying that, oh, we might have Sebastian, but they knew it wasn't Sebastian. Let me just replay that one more time, because he literally just contradicts himself in about 2 seconds later. And I'll tell you why he did this. Because again, they know. This is why it pisses me off that this team, they know so much. And they're either looking away, shame on them.
It's off in the house. That you would see the front door open. It is incredibly dark in the neighborhood.
This is not a night vision camera.
No.
He literally just asked him, this is not a night vision camera.
Got it.
No.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Full of shit.
No. Well, it's set to auto. It was set to auto mode.
Oh, it's set to auto mode. Really? So for those that are, obviously, he's taking advantage of people that probably may not have, these cameras. Obviously, I live in an apartment, but I am familiar with these because I've had to do a bunch of research on this case on them. Here he just admits, so he just said, no, there's no nighttime mode. Now he just said it's, it's set to auto mode. So for those who don't know what auto mode is, let me...
So it wasn't detecting, so what it's set up for their front porch, okay? And they have lights, like planter lights on their porch. I'm talking about the house across, it's shooting from. So it's lighting for that. It's not caring really about the Proudfoot's home.
No, it's just only getting triggered, every time something happens, inside their home, right? Sebastian's bedroom lights, getting turned off, it's triggering an event. Something happens in the kitchen light, that's getting triggered. Don't forget the silhouette, that I would love to know what time that is. And then clearly there's an event where, she says the window's open for a long period of time. Clearly there's something that triggered that as well. Now he just had the nerve to say that there was no nighttime mode. And then he just literally just said that it's set to auto mode. So let me tell you here in a second what that means.
Right. And so
here we go. Yes, when a third generation Ring camera is set to auto mode for night vision, anybody could look this up. It will automatically switch between daytime color mode, infrared mode. Actually, a better word for this would be, since we're referring to night, it would switch between nighttime color mode. So sometimes it's referred to as just nighttime mode. But that's, when we see that screenshot of the garbage truck, obviously it's got color, so nighttime color mode. Or when there's not, heavy light source, then it goes back to its infrared. That is what auto mode means. And he literally just said seconds ago that it had no nighttime mode. No night vision. What an ass. What an ass. Honestly, I don't know if he was fired or what. And we'll get into that at the end. Not too much about the minutiae of it, but the overall theory on that. So, yes, this has infrared mode. That is why every time those lights, because remember when I was talking about in here, we'll probably show it again. Every time those lights are getting set off in the room, because it's in infrared mode, and what gets picked up the most? What is the main color? White. So again, left is color mode, nighttime color mode, because obviously you have this giant garbage truck with huge lights. It switched to color mode. But when you don't have an event like that going on, it will then look like this. Where now you have infrared, which is now just focused on black and white. Where white, anything white, is now going to stick out more heavily. So what do you think is going to happen if little Sebastian comes walking out with a reflective white stripe? What do you think is going to happen? This kid's going to light up like a Christmas tree as he walks out from less than 105 feet away from an infrared camera. I mean, look at this. We can see Katie's bedroom light on. Remember, she has those shutters, right? But we can still see it. And this is 150 feet away on the other side, right? So just think about that. He might as well have been wearing Christmas lights if he walked out that front door. Glow. Oh, again, it'd be... And I will do a test on this. I wanted to do it last night, but then I'm like, you know what? I would love to get a night infrared. I would love to get an infrared camera or filter or something like that before I go out and do this test. Now I am going to go into the darkest area I can find and show that in different, just in a regular camera format, and then set up some ambient light. Oh, don't forget, I think I already said this before. Remember, it's basically a full moon out, more or less clear skies. and the moon is considered ambient light.
Yes, ma'am. We don't typically turn the floodlights on.
Were there any lights outside the house on at all?
Just my little solar lights that we have in the garden.
There's
Yep.
2 lights on the side of the house above the garage that are on at all times.
Oh, yeah, those are on.
Oh, there's a light above the garage that's on at all.
If he went through that front window, he can't. Those kind of windows, oh my God, how much movement would have been going on? I mean, I don't want to shut you down, act like I'm an expert, but the work that would be involved to go out the window and then he's going to fall out, you know. Oh my God, that would set that thing off in a heartbeat, in my opinion. If he tried to go out the front window. Remember, that was right next to the front door.
All times?
There's 2, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so those lights were on?
Yes, ma'am.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
We tested this.
Now, let's talk about the test, right? Yes, we will get to the audio. Yes. Yeah. We haven't even got in. This is just one area, right? We'll get into the audio. So then he talks about the test. And I know I could think of about 10 to 20 reasons why he'll never show this, or they probably didn't even, they may have halfway attempted this and said, you know what, oh God, yeah, this ain't going to work.
The family there was nice enough to let us into their house and overtake their system and run tests and stuff. And we just had people walking out, and the FBI did this as well too, just so you guys know. But just walk out of the house and see if we could detect it on the monitor at all, and we couldn't. It's that dark in the neighborhood.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. You're full of shit. And I bet you if you did, you probably weren't wearing the proper pants. I'm sure you probably flipping dressed in all black, probably had the black face paint on and probably crawling down, but again, if you wanted to prove your clients had nothing to do with this, this would be in my opinion, one of the biggest smoking guns. If you could prove to get somebody out of that door, but of course they didn't show it. So what do you think? I guarantee you, they've probably found so many flaws. They're probably triggering that thing like constantly. They're probably like, you know what, screw it. This.
So, I guess then to be 100% sure, it sounds like from what you're saying, and would you be able to release any of that footage, any of those tests? Just to put people's minds at ease about it, be like, no, really, you can't tell. Like, even if it's just a quick video of somebody walking out of home.
Listen, I would have to ask, and I'll just be honest, because the way that the people have just trampled over the prophets, they don't owe anybody any favors, and in this.
Ow, if your test is legit and you were able to get it passed, how would that wouldn't, I certainly would be screaming. I mean, I'd still be working other angles, but it would certainly, make me think about other,
and they don't care about like winning anybody's. At this point, they truly only, whether people leave or not, they just want Sebastian found. And so I don't think they're going to give anybody any favors like that. I'll ask, but I wouldn't count on it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would just put it this way, that, there's a lot of people out there, from what I can tell, the majority of people are looking at them as suspects. Something like that, at the very least, would put people's minds at ease that they're not hiding something here.
It would it'd be huge. It would be huge. But I can think of, like I said, I can think of 10 reasons. One, I guarantee you, let's just assume they attempted these tests. One, they probably didn't have, again, I guarantee you they weren't wearing these. So I bet you that would come out. Did they do it under, a full moon or close to a full moon? Maybe it was a waxing moon, but it's more or less a full moon. were the same lights up, right? You know, she said she had some landscape solar lights in her garden, which again, I think she's mentioning the front, which again, if there's any of these like solar lights in the front and somebody's coming out the door in infrared in these Adidas pants, again, it's no way.
That, you know, you really, if you look at that footage, you really can't see anybody coming out of that house, whether somebody is or not. I think that would probably help a lot of people to maybe get past another reason that they're suspicious.
Yeah, and I get that, but I also see it from their end. But I will say, I know that I saw interview or two, I think, where with Seth's old PIs, where he had multiple PIs, and they said too that they were aware that the FBI had run these same tests, and in fact, the FBI test wasn't just for that camera, but it was to see if any of the cameras would detect him if he walked a certain route. And you know, in fact, I know when some of the PIs like were watching on when that was happening. So, I mean, I'll ask, but I can't. You know, there's got to be some faith in the fact that FBI and TBI, and I think they've probably sent this footage. I'm sure they've sent this footage to the FBI crime lab, which any agency is allowed to use for enhancement. And I think.
But what were the results, right? He's not really telling us. He's just saying, yeah, they conducted tests, but he's making it sound like the results were, oh yeah, he can get around all these different cameras, right? But he didn't. It doesn't address that.
Because it's an Amber Alert. If there was an image of him.
And here, he's going to contradict himself right here. Here we go. Another, he's just way over his head. You know, that's what happens when you don't tell the truth, right? And remember, we just talked about this because they had to change the sighting of Sebastian from February 26th to the 25th, or at least the departments that actually gave a shit, because they knew there's nothing on any of these cameras that they have found. 4 different agencies, Sumner County, we don't care about, TBI we don't care about, but FBI and local law enforcement, and again,
I think they would have released something. I could be wrong, strategy-wise, but I just don't think.
Yeah, it's a great strategy. We have something of him, but we're not going to release it, right? Because if it shows him walking up north, why show that when if people want to go search and they're all searching all down south, in a river, spending all this money on sonar equipment, when they could have been going up north.
I mean, well, let me back that up. From that camera, it's hard because I go back and forth. I don't think that he's caught on that camera at all, but I do. In the last week, I do believe that they have something of him. Listen, I'll be honest with you. We have something.
Okay, so we've already gotten to this part. Okay, so anybody, I just wanted to pull this up one more time. So if anybody is just kind of questioning the Adidas style sweatpants with stripes on the side, again, this comes from the official Sumner County. Again, corrupt, but don't forget that not only this came from this, but I think there's at least 2 interviews where they mention, with Katie, mentioning, and I know for Chris for sure, Crispy mentions, he's got the Adidas with the reflective white stripe, where he's allegedly walking past 15 plus cameras, and most of these have infrared on them, which again, any ambient light he's walking past, he's going to be a walking Christmas tree. There's just no way in hell, in my honest opinion, he got past that front door without being seen. Good to see you, Mr. Oh, we got the... where are they? Oh, I can't find them. Good to see you, Mr. East Crimecast, and the family. Hope you guys are doing well. God bless. Appreciate you taking the time to come in. Love your guys' work, as always. All right. Let's see. Try to want to. Okay, do you guys want me to get to the audio? I'm trying to think here. Okay, one more thing, and then we'll get to the audio, and then we'll kind of wrap up. So here, I want to explain what's in this photo here, because there's something I also noticed in this. So, and I'll kind of go quick, so I do apologize, but I promise it'll be worth it. So, again, this is taken from this house, which is across the street. You know what? It'd probably be better if I just pull up Google Maps and we just run through this a little bit quicker here. But yeah, I will be doing a test. I just want to get the right equipment because I don't want to just half-ass it, right? So, again, we have... Oh, let me go back a date right here. Okay. So we have, this is the home. The ring camera is set up here. It kind of appears now, so this is the stink feet home. So we kind of got a bit of an angle shot, right? Now notice these two items, this little sign in the mailbox. This may look familiar because if we zoom in, that's this right here. So that's the mailbox. And that's the sign. It's kind of bent up against the mailbox there. And then you can see the tree that's in the front yard, which is this tree here that they're kind of, peering through half the house. But what I'm trying to show here is what we're kind of looking at. So then we can see, one too many. Okay, it's paused. So what we get here on the other side of the garbage truck across the house is we have this tree. We can see it. And I know if you're on your phone, I do apologize. But I promise you, it is the tree trunk. It is this one. Now, keep in mind, from the vantage view of the surveillance, obviously we would need to be walking back. And as we walk back, this tree would now start to move to the left. Obviously, if we walked forward, this tree would go to the right, making more gap. Actually, let me use this one. This would probably be better. Yeah, use this. But as we back up, right, and we were to just continue backing up, this tree would now start to line up with this. But I'm just going to use this because, unfortunately, if I go to the right, it's too much of a gap, and it's not the gap that I want to show. So just keep in mind that obviously if we were back further where the camera is at, this tree would now be lined up right about on the edge. So we have this gap right here between the homes, right? And what do we see? Well, there's a floodlight. A very important floodlight. And here's me doing an arrow. Obviously, if we were back further, this tree would be to the left, but we would still have kind of the same vantage and have that narrow area. And so that white line is kind of just a rough estimate of the home, the building, right? And here's the tree. So this area right here, because remember we're at an angle, is kind of the behind the home between the two homes, right? And look at that giant floodlight that is on right now. Now, again, I want to play both sides. This could be a light that maybe was triggered by this garbage truck when it was coming down the neighborhood across and it got triggered. So there's always that possibility. Or that this light is on at all times, or maybe it's again, looking at both angles. But if this light is on, again, we've already talked about it. Just there's no way he's going north, right? We've got these giant floodlights and we got two cameras on both sides. There's no way in hell he's going up north. So it only leaves us going south. Well, and again, he's wearing these, Adidas pants with any kind of ambient light that he's walking around is just going to light him up like a Christmas tree. And we have this camera that, even though Fish Sticks just tried to tell you that no, it didn't have a nighttime mode, full of shit. he goes wandering past the edge of this home and assuming if this light is on at all times, well, what do you think's going to happen? Even if he's not even near this light, what do you think's going to happen? This would be considered an ambient light. It would light him up like a Christmas tree. So again, it gets so frustrating because it just feels like there's a lot of people that are just really trying to throw common sense out the window because, again, there's the politics when it comes to this case, and I've mentioned this 4 times now, that these creators are not going to change on a dime after they've built their, a big subscription base, only to change their tune. Because, again, when they do that, obviously they're going to lose a bunch of subscribers. Just like if I came on tomorrow and I started saying, oh, Seth is guilty, these people had nothing to do with it, I would lose subscribers like crazy. It's disturbing, but it's the truth. And it is kind of like that mob mentality, right? And, of course, they've been with those creators, and so they kind of I think they kind of confirmation biased, right? And they just kind of overlook the evidence, in my opinion, that is just damning. Oh, I've been there. I appreciate Crimecast being in here. It's an honor to have you in here. Love the work. All right, 2 more things and we'll finish up.
I want to circle back to Sebastian's shoes regarding if anything.
So I will be doing a test. But I just want you to think about this because Seth went live on Sunday night. It was very disturbing. You could tell he's in the gutter right now. But then he shared something with us. And I just want you guys to just think about this, how disgusting and messed up this situation is. I just wanted to thank you to Dawn for the Venmo. That is very sweet. Thank you so much.
Was missing. Do you have a burglar alarm?
Oh.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
It's too bad she didn't ask her. I wish she would have changed this question. Instead of saying, do you have a burglar alarm, as in like right now, which we know this is like, 2 weeks later plus when this interview, maybe a month after, I forget where it's at. But it's too bad she didn't ask, like, have you ever had security, right? But look at that poor response, like shaking your head, no. But again, we know that they did have surveillance in their home. I've heard some very disturbing reports, some sources I have never even talked about, that were with Chronicles of Olivia, and that's all I say. And what they had learned and saw would disturb them. So, because remember this, for those that are kind of newer to this case, remember, this is a lady that worked for Brink Security, had an autistic child, yet allegedly did not have their own surveillance when just about 60% or more in that neighborhood had surveillance. There's no way. But they got rid of it before they got rid of something.
Do you have a Ring doorbell cam?
No, ma'am.
All right. So now, let's talk about...
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
So your master bedroom is on one side of the house and Sebastian's room is on the other side of the house.
She
Is that
missed
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you have a third bedroom that I believe you keep for your other daughter. Is that correct?
So, let's just think about this. If you missed Seth's live the other night, he basically said that, that poor little girl, Faith, I forget what she, a young teenager, they took her to Disney World. Now, could you imagine this poor girl who's already, between Crispy and Nina, terrible separation, his previous wife, before Kit Kat here, and very bad breakup, and there's custody rights going on, right? So now we're going to have a situation almost exactly the same, except it's just flipped between the parents on who's the stepmother, father, and who's the actual biological parent. So are they really going to allow this to happen a second time? They couldn't figure out what happened. Sebastian didn't go missing out of Seth Rogers' home. Sebastian Rogers went missing out of his own mother's home. Now, in an effed up universe, now we're back into another scenario where we have the same kind of setup where we have now a stepmother and Crispy, the father. Oh, is she? Oh, she is a little bit younger. Okay, my apologies. That's right. I was thinking, it feels like this case has been a few years. Okay, so preteen. This poor girl. Let's just say, and I hate to say it, but let's just say they got rid of Sebastian, right? Now, you're putting another child at risk with potential killer or killers under a certain, almost the same kind of concept as with Sebastian, where, remember, Crispy and Nina had a very terrible breakup, and remember all the stories she came out with. And so I'm sure there's a lot of animosity. We know there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened between that. And so could you imagine again, like the same scenario where now we've got a child that's, in a custody battle or whatever. And what's to say, if they did do, disturbing things to Sebastian, what if, the walls are closing in on him and, Crispy decides, what, and he's got faith and he's just like, I want to get back at, Nina, and says, we did this once, allegedly, right? What's this for doing it again, right? This is so, my jaw was dropped when he said that. This poor child, I hope they have like a tracking chip in this poor girl. We know she doesn't want anything to do with this guy. She put out a post, Is that just absolutely absurd and just messed up? What, are we just going to wait until, it happens again? Right? Holy hell. Get this out of Sumner County's hands. This is so disgusting. Here's this poster, for Seth. He wanted Rogers' poster out there. So I do want to put that out there. Of course, this is built by At Night. Do you think Katie or Crispy had anything to do? Have they done anything since the 1-year anniversary interview and the 1-year anniversary con that they hired the shady fish sticks to do to make it seem like they were actually doing something? Have they ever spent time to make a flyer like this? Some a scan code on it, right? It just gets me so frustrated. All right, so I'm going to fast forward. Okay, so this is something I'll continue in the next one. Right, Babs, exactly. Right. We already know it was a nasty breakup, and there's clearly a lot of animosity. And if you're not familiar with Crispy and the way he thinks of women, all you got to do is just look up Crispy. It's not hard to find, his greatest hits out there, and how he feels about women. It is truly disgusting. Truly disgusting. So another way, and I'm just going to kind of brush over this because unfortunately we had a power surge and I had to restart the live, and I don't want to go too much longer. But here's the final other thing. So looking at the video is just one dimension, one-dimensional thinking. Well, here's a whole other thing that we can do. So what I'm playing you is some clips from 2 different cameras. Now I want you to pay attention. I had the audio on. This is just the normal audio. Now you can hear the bus a little bit, especially if you have your headphones or something, but it's not very loud. You can kind of hear the bus, the horn. Here's a camera from the other angle of the house. And there'll be a reason why I'm showing this. Same thing, it's going to be the bus. Eventually. Now, if you notice, you can barely hear it. It's not very loud. Kind of hear the horn. There's that car. That car went by and I couldn't hear anything. But the audio's there. So here is me using Audacity, right? Now here's me just extracting the audio from a couple of clips. And as you can see, when you see just a flat line like that, I mean there's almost little to no audio. At least right now. Until we run the enhanced audio. And I didn't even really run the full enhanced audio. I just wanted to kind of make a point. So this is just the basic audio enhancement that I do. I could have ran a lot more different filters and stuff. But just to give you an idea. Watch the difference. Oh shit. Well, there's audio. And then of course I could do noise reduction and kind of clear out some of the distortion, ambient noise, but so let me just show a couple of these so you guys get an idea, because this is another thing that worries me, and just another, again, thinking outside the box, because again, you have probably 95% of these cameras have audio, right? Sorry, I thought I sped this up. So here's me taking another clip. Again, this is a different clip. Notice the flat line. And then I run my audio and then boom, look, we've got, we now have audio. And this is just basic enhancement. I haven't even ran like the deeper stuff. And then I show this about 5 more times. Thought I fast forwarded this. Again, another clip, 6:20 a.m. the next day. Look at it, flat line. Enhance audio. Oh wow, look at all this. So, why am I bringing this up? Well, when you listen to some of this stuff, you really, especially if you don't have headphones, because the person that I was able to get some of this footage from didn't realize there was much audio and didn't think there was, some of these clips didn't have any audio until I went out and extracted them, and then I ran my enhancement and I'm like, oh, yeah, they're there. Now the reason So that's in the enhanced version. So I apologize. Companies in the bus. So could you imagine, and again, I'm just showing these. So could you imagine, let's get to where I show all the cars at. That, again, one dimension is we're looking at video, right? We're thinking video, just video, video, video. But the other dimension is audio, right? Let's say he was abducted and they moved him out the backyard. The car comes up killing. They open up the door, car door, even if they shut it slightly or even a little bit. Again, or even the vehicle running or getting kicked back on. Let me move this. Again, there's the gauntlet of cameras, and that is not even all of them. All of them except for this one right here does not have audio. The rest of these do, and they're decent audio, right? They just get better and better. Again, another way to think about it, that especially if there was an abduction, if the car is out of one of these camera angles, right? So let's say this car drives down Kellen, just gets past the line of sight of this camera, stops here, but gets out. They got to shut the car door. You enhance the audio, you're likely to hear something, right? Not saying that's guaranteed, but if anybody's seen what I did in the Brian Koberger case, let me show you one thing and then we'll finish up. Let me just show you what I was able to do with the Brian Koberger case in... Let's see if I got the one that I want. Is that it? Okay, so just a small example. This is the Idaho 4 case. The camera that I enhanced is God, I don't know what the distance is. It's got to be at least 400 feet away easily. And this is me enhancing the audio off this video here, and I did a lot in this. There's a lot more to this than what I did. But I could tell when a car was coming down that street, even though that camera cannot see all the way down to that street, right? But I could tell, and then I used the camera that was down over here I was using this stop because this stop was going on when this camera's recording. As you can see, the times are lined up. And then you're going to see a car go by. So watch. You just heard the audio of a car. Now this is them over here with the police stop. Now watch. You're going to hear a car come by. That was the car we just heard. And for those that are here that are watching that it was huge. It got me a little bit of recognition because, it's just thinking outside the box. But I did that with cars going back and forth using the body cam footage and then the audio from this camera that's way back there. Now, obviously, every place is going to be acoustically different, right? I think we got a little bit lucky with this one because the street's kind of narrow and maybe it's got a lot of stuff that it can bounce noise off of, so it can send it all the way back up. And I'm sure maybe the car's going a little bit faster than maybe they would. Again, it's still supposed to be residential, so I don't know. I forget the speed limit. I mean, there shouldn't be going more than 35. So again, thinking outside the box, right? Using multiple cameras. What do you hear on this camera? What starts to drown out on this camera? Because most of these are recording 24/7. Again, there's so much more that could be done. So I appreciate that, Search Patrol. I have certain things I'm good at. I'm not perfect. I am so far from perfect, believe me. Prayers for all the missing. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you so much, Ohio. Oh, guaranteed there's a lot of audio. Guaranteed. Yeah, most of these cameras had audio. And if they're recording 24/7, then yes. Just unfortunately, you know, is anybody going to do something about it, or are they just going to sit on the evidence and just let it fade away into the ether? Charlene, thank you so much for becoming a member or being a member for 2 months. And absolutely 0 cent leads in the area. Great. Great comment. Blessing. Again, thank you so much, Ohio. Joanne, thank you so much for coming a member. And Skinny. I can't talk. What Ohio said. I can't talk. All right, guys. I think I'll finish there. Love how invested you are. I appreciate it, Sandra. Again, I cannot wait to do the test, but I want to do it proper. I was thinking about going out last night, but then when I realized that this camera has infrared, I'm like, well, that just changes the game, because it almost makes me think guaranteed this kid's walking out with a something like this, he's a walking Christmas tree. And yeah, so there with the Lily and Jack Sullivan case, there's some rumors that Daniel's mother allegedly did an interview that might be coming out. I don't know what the truth is in that. That case is, again, I want to do an update when I feel like there's enough to actually talk about. But I know Justin Clutch and Pearls has been to do an amazing job, so shout out to him. But thank you guys. Thank you, Lakeside, Sam, and everybody coming back in. Crimecast. Usual 25 in residential. Usual. Oh yeah, usual 20. Yeah, 25. Right. Yeah, speed limit. That's what you're talking about. Right. Yep. So, all right, guys. Should be back tomorrow. And then, yeah, I cannot wait to do this the pants thing. But I want to make sure I have the proper stuff to do it, because I really want to shut this jerk down once and for good. So with that, guys, we'll do a pet outro, and we will be back tomorrow. I just want to say thank you to my wonderful mods, D and Sensei and Jazz, coming in. You guys are legends. Thank you so much for doing that. And we'll have much more. There's stuff I was working on, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. And thank you, Sensei, for keeping an eye on the chat and stuff. I appreciate that. All right, guys, have a good night. Much love.
Hush. Content, hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption. Breathe faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out. Be carefree lately, yeah. Just picking up daisies. Got one too many quarters in my pockets. Count 'em like the 4-leaf clovers in my locket. Untied laces, yeah. Just tripping up.